Okay, I'm back with one last video for the day. I wanted to finish off this cheeky cherry pie, so I thought I'd just color her up real quick. I am actually matching her up with these new papers from Authentique called Gathering. So she's going to be kind of a fall Thanksgiving look that's got a nice vintage look to it. So those are where I pulled all my Copic colors from, are from these papers. So I'm just going to jump right in, and I'm going to start with the kind of aqua blue, and I'm going to do that on her headband. And I'm going to start that actually with a G00. There's a couple companies, paper lines. This is one of my trickiest blues to get a good match for with my Copics. It's this really almost green type aqua, and that's why I'm using the green G, because the G quadruple zero, the G triple zero, and the G00 actually work really nice with these kind of aqua blue combinations. So now I'm going to jump up to BG34, and I'm just going color in here. And remember, we've got the light source coming in from the left, so I'm going to be heavier with my shadows on the right side of the figure here, away from that light source. Just getting the color on, and then underneath where the hair is kind of falling over it on that side. And now my BG72, and this has got a lot of gray in it, and this is what's going to help it match that vintage look in the paper. It'll tone it down so this combination isn't quite so bright. And then I'm just working my way back down with the BG34. Just starting right in there and pulling, starting to fill in that white space that I left. Do the same here. Finish off with the G00. I almost forgot the little ties over here. Okay. Now I'm going to do her dress, and I am going to start with a YR00. I'm just going to lay the color on. There's not a whole lot showing, so this is going to be kind of quick. YR02 is my next color. And again, just paying attention to the light source and keeping anything facing that is closer to that left-hand side lighter. A lot of her back here is going to get dark because it's all the way on the other side away from that. Now I'm going to jump up to YR18 for a really strong shadow. And I'm just going to be pretty sparing with it. I don't want too much of that. But what it's going to do now, that while it's still wet, work my way back down with the YR2, R02, and blend that 18 in. And finish off with the 00, the YR00 there. And that's going to tone down that 18, but still give us a nice shadow back there. Okay. And now for her apron, I'm going to use my trusty E81. Kind of give me an off-white, kind of oyster white look here. I'm going to kind of come down between her legs a bit to give that impression of a lap. And take my colorless blender, blend that out a bit, lighten it up. And on her shoes, I'm going to use E87. And E47 for my darker contrast back here away from our light source. And then I'm going to take a little bit of the E81 and fill in that little area there. And then come back with my E87 over that whole thing there. Okay. Now, I think I'm going to pull more of the blue that we used on her headband up here onto the apron as well. And I am going to start with just get the G00 carefully on these little lines here. And then they'll be on this bow back here. To the BG34. Not go all the way up because I want to keep that light over there on her lap. And there we go. And our BG72. Darken up these darkest areas. And I think as small as that is up there, I'm just going to go straight to my G00 to kind of blend down into what we've done. And blend on here and on here as well. Okay. Now, I have those little scallops, and I think I'm going to pull in some of our darker brown again with those. So I'm just taking my E87 and carefully with just the very tip of the marker, just coloring those in. And using the E47 just to hint back here on these ones to darken them up and then leave those other ones lighter. Okay, so now that's coming along, so let's tackle that pie. I'm going to use C5, C3, C1 on the little pie tin. And I think as small as that is, we'll just go straight from our darkest, the C5, kind of underneath that crust and back here, just a bit of it. Now the C3, start blending towards our light source and finish with the C1. Keep it nice and light so it's kind of like that tin pie plate. Okay, we got that. There we go. Now the pie crust. I'm going to use E31, E33, E35. And I'm just going to kind of map out. This part is going to be darker because our light source is coming in here. So I'm just kind of leaving that part white for now. Getting our crust colored up down here. Now the E33. And E35 is our darkest. Just gonna kind of get the edges where it gets darker when it's baking. Now I'm working my way back to the E33, and this is where I start blending it all together. So I start pulling into that white towards the light source, and then with the E31, finally fill in all of that white that I left. And I think I'm going to want a little bit more of the 33 down here where it's kind of curving up. And that's just where you can tell as you get the color on there if you need to add more or not. And then kind of like when I'm looking at her apron down here, the white section, I'm not completely happy with that. So I want to get my E81, give it more of a defined shadow there underneath her arm. And then on this back side back here. And then up here a little bit more. Now take my colorless blender just to get that. Okay, and that's all. I had to let it dry before I could see, what it needed and what I needed to do. I want to get this little, where it bends over on itself with the E81. Okay, she's a pretty simple little image, so that's going to be calling it good. I'm going to take my colorless blender to push out some of this orange because I wanted to leave the little ruffle on her sleeve white. But other than that, I've got my cheeky cherry pie all colored up. And she'll be ready to go with her papers on a fun little Thanksgiving card. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I'll see you again later. Bye.